guys, good evening. Welcome back to our channel. Hey with the fam. Happy Sunday. How's everyone doing? Welcome,
Hey,
welcome.
Obodo fam. It's your brother Ola, host of Men of Prestige, Lola's husband, your life, relationship, and marriage coach. Let's continue to appreciate Auntie B for the great work she's doing. If you're dealing with constant gaslighting, toxic arguments, silent treatment, disrespectful spouse, and the likes, I have something special for you, but there's limited spots. A complimentary personal coaching session, and it comes with 2 free books. Just go to prestigemarriagesystem.com. Write that down. Limited time and limited spots. Don't waste any more time in bad relationships. Do something about it.
Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. How are we? I hope everybody is well. Thank you so much for joining us. I've got Ola, man of prestige, here tonight, and we are going to be diving into the topic of Olokpa. Olokpa or no
Auntie B, happy
Olokpa.
Sunday.
Happy Sunday, Ola.
Shower.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes, ma.
When we're in Nigeria, they say once you go to Ile Olokpa, once you go to the Olokpa,
You don't go to Ilé ẹjọ́
I am
and padà wá sọ̀rọ̀
ẹ.
ẹ̀.
So
Yeah.
that's what we're going to be looking at today. So welcome, Ola. Over to you.
Thank you for having me, ma. Thank you. I appreciate you
Welcome.
as
Welcome.
always. All right. So today, when I was listening during the week, I think you also mentioned that you have tons of stories upon
Oh yeah.
stories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have some heartbreaking stories. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Divorce in this part of the world can be very, very messy.
Yes. It
Yeah,
gets
and the
very
angle of the
messy.
stories that I was referring to is about how people don't fight fair. I believe in fighting fair.
Yeah.
Whether the
Yeah.
system gives you all the power or not, because of whatever you had before. Once upon a time, you loved each other. There are children, possibly, in the union. So I'm an advocate of fighting fair. Some people don't fight fair. So the story I have is a story of somebody that was not, because again, people will give you ideas, they will tell you, do this to them, do this to the other person, because it's about survivor.
Yeah.
And it had a very catastrophic ending for this lady.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. The whole thing about the police thing, I think is there's background to it. First of all, a quick definition of Japa marriages. It just means people that leave the shores of their home country to the west for better opportunities. That's what Japa means. So say Japa marriage is when a couple decide that, you know what, we can do better on the other side of the world, and they have the resources or they were presented with an opportunity to travel. And to be, I think it's safe to say most people will take that opportunity these days, right?
Oh yeah, oh
Especially in
yeah,
Nigeria.
oh yeah. Because
Yeah.
as humans, it's all about survival for us. And when the environment is not conducive and things are really hard, we have to find a way out. It's not just Nigerians, everywhere in the world.
Yes.
People have to survive. It's a human nature, it's a human need
Yeah.
to find where they can best thrive. Even if you don't want to do it for yourself, you think about the next generation, your children. So
Yeah.
yeah, Akpa
Yeah.
is not just Nigerians or
Yeah.
Africans, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
I,
Yep.
I don't think we are even the people that jackpot the most, if you want to look at it globally.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
It's just a term that we coin.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a term we coin. So yeah, so I think it's pretty. So the idea of asking people to not japa so that you don't lose your wife I mean you don't lose your husband. I think it's pretty. Is the beginning of our unrealistic behavior. Even in terms of solving this problem of japa is scattering. The famous statement is that japa is scattering marriages. So I'm like, okay, do you have a solution for that statement? I mean, you just like to hear yourself talk. So a lot of people just they wink and say all kind of stuff on the internet just to hear themselves talk, sadly. Or People have ulterior motives around the financial gains of pushing some of these topics because they touch very painful aspects of our lives. You know,
Right.
so it's sad that a family will leave the shores of just for the sake of this conversation, Nigeria, or you come to the West for a better life, and then 6 months later or 3 years later, the family has scattered. Your children are no longer, they can't, you can't boast that you can raise them in the same household with their father or their mother anymore. So
Can
it's pretty
we?
sad.
Yeah, but also, I mean, like Monica is saying, a good marital foundation, Jackpot will not get into it. So we need to establish that because people think is the location. No, most cases, those marriages were already fragmented. There were issues in Nigeria that
I
people could not
agree.
be fixed. So the abroad or the diaspora just magnifies this problem, gives people better opportunities, and so they feel, oh, you know what? Okay, I was dealing with this back in Nigeria, but now what the hell? I don't need to deal with it. I can do bad all by myself.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that, but another way we can also put that is that it doesn't have to be Japa. If your marriage is not solid, any type of change in context, in environment, crisis, conflict can take your marriage out if it's not strong enough, right? So it's very easy. I agree with that in the sense that it's very easy to blame Japa or anything outside of ourselves,
Yeah.
you
No,
know.
I think the reason why people blame Jackpot is because Jackpot is the environment creates opportunities, okay, that
Yeah,
people might not have hitherto, mostly
yeah,
women in
yeah,
this case. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So yeah, it's so we need to dig deeper than Japa, basically. Why is
Yeah.
it that your marriage couldn't withstand uh but Japa is also a very, very powerful concept. It's a very powerful reality that we shouldn't just trivialize it and bring it down to just ordinary Japa. Japa represents a lot of things. It's a culture shock for a lot of individuals, you know but of course, by extension, for a lot of couples, a lot of marriages, it's a culture shock. There's a big deal in the dynamics that changes with respect to power dynamics, cultural dynamics, the gender roles within the household. It's a big deal. So in Nigeria, there's the one thing I know: a lot of young couple that live in Nigeria today, and they practice equitable relationship, egalitarian. They live there in Nigeria, right? But it's one thing to choose to do that. It's one thing to move into another environment where you start to feel like it's being threatened, either as a man, your authority as a man is being threatened, or as a woman, you suddenly discover this level of empowerment that you might not necessarily be prepared to know how to use.
Or you didn't have this
You
empowerment
didn't have
before.
it. You didn't have it.
You didn't have this power.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's a
So,
level of power that you have when, as a woman, when you come abroad.
yeah.
Again, I stress this all the time on my shows that remember that whatever laws and systems are in the West, they were not created for us. They created it
Yes.
for their own people.
Exactly. Exactly. So when you think about, please, any comments that you see that's interesting, because it's about them, let's stop and address them. So when you think about the fact that, okay, me as a man, now I'm here, internally speaking, mentally speaking, my sense of security didn't feel threatened, but I'm okay out of a place of free will. I can help my wife. I can do this for my wife. But when we enter small arguments after we move to Japa, and you've been listening to a lot of Daddy Freeze.
Hola. We've not done 10 minutes. You already said they don't they collect already. They are collecting.
You collect, oh, everybody go collect. So when you start to listen to a lot of these conversations and you enter small argument and you feel triggered, and it's like, it's because you've been listening to this kind of stuff, Abby. So now you lose your cool, and then you start to, because if you find one small angle where you can relate with somebody else's pain, that's
Yes,
all
you
it
connect.
takes.
Yes, you
Even though
connect.
it's not your story.
Yes, yeah. That's why they said misery loves company.
Yes. Yes.
Anything that hurts you will attract a similar person that has the same kind of pain or hurt. They will
Exactly.
find solace in that kind of hurt that you are expressing. And
Exactly.
there's it's all over now. It's so easy. You don't need to go out there now because of the social media
Because of
and
social
online
media.
communities.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, whatever persuasion, whatever you feel, you
Yep.
are likely to find a forum that you can identify with that will suit your pain, and you'll feel connected. We are
Yep.
like-minded. Oh, we are men. We are Nigerian men, African men that come abroad, and all these women, because they are here now.
These women. These women. Now they will say I'm dragging them. Now calm down, drink water, bros. Go and drink water, okay? Because I might drag you, okay? No, I won't drag you. We just want to learn. We just want to learn, right? We need to keep an open mind because there's a lot that women need to learn in this conversation too.
Good evening, Brother Patrick. Sir.
Welcome, sir.
So I usually say that, jokingly, that there should be a school. First of all, there should be a marriage school that people
Facts.
should go to. And then if you are going to Japa, there should be another school for you to go so that you will learn the
Yeah.
dynamics.
Yes.
Because things change. The abroad is not like Nigeria.
It's not the same thing.
So when you come here and you want to conduct business the way business or you conducted business in Nigeria, will it work?
Could it work?
And a
Could it
lot of
work?
people struggle with adapting, to new settings, new situations. Bá a ṣe ń ṣe ń lè wá rèé kò yí padà.
Number one, you are a liar because it changes. That's number one. If you say that to yourself, that's a lie. Everything changes. I always, whenever I'm having conversation with my very awesome parents, they are just like the rest of us. Before you get into the conversation, there's this automatic assumption that our world does not change. It's the same as I know, actually, it's the opposite. It changes, and you need to be prepared for these changes, to adapt to these changes. You don't have to change the core of who you are. You don't have to change your core values, but how we show up, right? So I always go, one of my son plates is here. So, so Baba come, they look funny, like Baba, you go there, all right? And it's it's a face, over express already.
Exactly. I mean, it's funny that you brought that up, Ola. That's a really good point because we're
Yes.
talking about cultural shock as they
Yes.
affect marriages. Now, I saw a video today, and this lecturer in a university in Nigeria was shaving the students' hair in class. And he was doing it with so much joy. This is a federal
I think I
government.
saw that. Yeah, I didn't slow down to pay I know they were cutting somebody's head,
He was cutting
but
the hair with clipper in the class, and I'm like, oh my god! If somebody does this to my son, I'm gonna be really mad.
Yeah.
Now, let me give you the other aspect of this conversation about culture. Now, my
hit
son,
the like button. Hit the like button. I'm not in the
yes,
chat.
I
Hit the
see
like
this.
button.
This is going to be really interesting tonight. My message is bringing it, and we're having a chat. We're having a conversation. It's going to be really, really encompassing. Please hit the like button.
Yeah.
Subscribe if you haven't. Now, when my sons were growing up, teenagers, you know how they are, just like you told your parents are, it's a face.
Yeah.
So they wanted to start doing hair. It was a big wahala. One of them, okay, no, not even start from the piercing of the ears. One was like, can I pierce my ears? I'm like, no, you can't. And then one day, the one that is younger just came home one day. He didn't ask, just pierced his ears. I'm like, yeah, Omo, you did by me, you've killed me. If your father will see this, now, if your father will see this, how am I going to explain it? You went to pierce your ears, Omo. He didn't even ask. So when the older one also that the younger one has got to pierce his ears, he too went and pierced their ears. And then this hair matter started. Me, personally, I'm very, very liberal.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. But that one was like, nope, no. So
We're not doing that around here.
you're not having it. You're going to start braiding your hair. You want to have braids. So one day, Ola, this will make you laugh. We were looking at old albums in the house, and that was picture popped up when he was much younger. I was a
Uh-huh.
big afro.
Afro. Mm-hmm.
And this my son who joined me budget, very,
Yep.
very, very vocal. Me ready. Pulled
Yep.
out picture. I was like, Daddy, is this you? So you have big hair.
Yep. And then
You
you were
have
telling
big
us
hair.
not to.
And you're telling us not. I told him, I said, don't worry, they will grow up. I want for I want my game here. Just leave them.
They all outgrow it. I
It's
mean,
a
just
phase.
look around you.
So
You know,
culturally, that can be a shock for a parent that is very traditional
it
like
is. Yep. Yep.
they fought a lot back and forth. Me, I didn't say anything. I just kept quiet. If they were asking for money to go and do hair, we would say, no, I'm not giving you money. I'm not cutting hair. So what's the point? Because they were one is doing dreadlocks and the other one is braiding hair. So
Yeah.
him, they should just have low cut hair. But
Yep.
at
Like a
that age,
regular, like you're going to
yes,
work, like you'll be responsible at work, like nobody will look at you funny.
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another aspect of culture that can rock things. Not only marriage, but even children
Yeah.
and parenting as well.
Yep. You know, because agreeing in your method of parenting is also part of everything we're talking about, right? So,
Back in the day that I'm talking about, Nola, I don't know if you are very young, so you might not know. So some of the oldies here will remember. Men used to wear heels.
no, I seen pictures in the 70s.
Yes,
So, yeah, so that was actually something I asked my father.
it's a
I said,
fashion
I
statement.
said, so I asked my father. My father came here to the United States in 75. So I asked him, I said, when you came here in 75, before you came here in 75, between 1967 and 70, I think that was around the time he was in high school and then finishing and then coming here. I said, did you dress the way your parents dressed? Baba cannot answer me. I was like, Daddy, it's just an honest question. We were eating dinner, so it was just gisting, you know. I said, it was like, it's not okay, it's not the same. You don't have to answer me. And then he said, what is, you know, and I pulled out pictures of 70 fashion, our mummies. That's Kilele. He said,
The women used to tie, they used to wear really short mini skirts. Even if it's ramp, but they are
even if it's a rub, why is the small
yes,
one?
really short.
They even have a name for it. They will tell us in the chat now. They have the small one. My mother has the almost mini. You can see her knees. You know, so it's different from generation to generation.
Yes,
But what
yes.
we find is that people still wear suits to work eventually. The suits might be more fitted, might change style small. It might not be big JB bell size, right? But our life, our world evolves. To pretend that it doesn't evolve is a great way to shoot yourself on the legs, especially in marriage. So it changes with time, it changes with location, it changes. And when I say change, it's not outright change. Again, just it evolves, it changes. So we need to pay attention to that and how that can affect your marriage. So when you move from one location, cultural context to another context, it will affect your marriage directly or indirectly in one shape, form, or the other. It will affect your marriage. So when you see certain things that happen, somebody gets triggered, you get triggered, or anything like that, the first thing to do is drink water. Like, okay, all right, we're in a different environment. Let's come up to with something here. Okay, I'm not really comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with that. What people tend to do is they engage in very toxic arguments around these things. You know, so instead of talking to each other, they now say, "Hey, it's because they start using condescending languages." You know, and they say it's because you have been listening to Daddy Freeze. You want to come and because you've been listening to that woman obodooyinbo, you want to come and bring that stuff into this nonsense into this house.
My own is worse. They would say that I'm telling them to leave their homes, but that's like they've accused me of a lot of things, but that's the one that really I'm like, oh my god, when, how?
You will end up in the streets,
You end up in Poto Poto.
in the poto, you know.
Yeah.
But if that's how you react to these issues, you're going to attract what you fear the most. You're going to push your partner away. They're
See?
going to find more comfort.
Ali said, my mom told me that their aunties in the village in Abia State were completely topless. Back in
Yes.
the 70s and
There are
60s.
many cultures around Africa like
Right.
that. Many cultures around Africa like that. So if you are not being topless in 2024, why you keep bringing stuff from 1960 up to justify your inability to adapt?
Yes. Yeah. It's adapting. I think that's the main thing. That's the main thing. Anyway, we've got a video to react to. Do you want me to play it now?
Yeah, when you're ready, Auntie B.
Okay, let's play this video because remember we're talking about marriages, Japa marriages, and ile ejo, police calling and not police calling.
Yeah.
So I have a stand on this issue, and I've had this stand since God knows forever. And I strongly believe, and I did encourage women. I got dragged a lot earlier on this show. Um, about my stand on it when I said, except your life is threatened that you don't feel safe. I don't think you should call the police on your husband.
You don't
A lot of
encourage
women,
it.
no, I don't think there is need for it
Right.
because it's an emergency service. Emergency means life or by.
Yes.
So if your life is not in danger, why are you calling the emergency service? As a matter of fact, in some country, if you call the Olopa when you are not in danger, they can fine you for wasting police time. So that has always been my stand, and it's not changed. But let's listen to the video and hear what this couple what they were saying, because apparently she was calling the Olopa and the husband was not finding it funny anymore.
Yeah.
We have to be very, very careful. Let's be careful.
Yeah.
Okay.
My support I'll continue to pay the house bill. My social support lórí ọmọ mi.
No,
Tó bá need the assistance,
let's
béèrè
start
lọ́wọ́
from
mi,
the
màá
beginning.
ṣe.
You didn't tell me you're going to abandon me. This is not what you told me.
Mo sọ fún ẹ for a
I
fact.
uprooted myself from that place. Me, I didn't want to come.
Mo sọ fún ẹ for a fact. My support I'll continue to pay the house bill. My social support lórí ọmọ mi. Tó bá need the assistance, béèrè lọ́wọ́ mi, màá ṣe. Living together with you has not brought me any happiness or joy.
Do you want to comment on that, Ola? What's going on there?
So it looks like she called the police and then she might have regretted calling the police. But it looks like it's another event entirely. So, but the guy is bringing up the fact that she called the police. This happens when people maybe have called the police in the past, and then the guy is now using that event. He brings it up and say, "Hey, you called the police. Now you're starting wahala with me again. You know what? I'm just going to leave the house." Okay, so it's like an extended version of the silent treatment we discussed here some weeks ago. Like, I'm just going to abandon you. You know what? You don't have to worry about the kids. I'll take care of your kids. But also, women will make this decision to call the police and regret the action because it's in the heat of the moment that people would call the police. Maybe there's a toxic argument. Maybe they don't feel safe. Maybe it's playing out in their head. Maybe they watch too much, people by themselves instead of argument, instead of marriage too. If they watch too much of that and your husband is very animated in the middle of conversation, that can create fear. You might not feel safe. You might just feel the need to call the police. It doesn't mean you won't regret when everything calms down days later on. So it's the police is not there right now, but the guy is bringing up the fact that she's called the police in the
Several
past.
times. So
Yeah.
there's something that somebody has included on the video. I like to read that out because
Yes.
it plays into this narrative that we're talking about. And the person that wrote it said, husband and wife will be living happily in Nigeria, but as soon as they both move out of Nigeria to Europe, problem starts. It takes a strong couple to survive the test of obodooyinbo, 100%. And he said only 2% of us will understand this man.
Yeah. It's that rhetoric is also is true to a lot of extent. It just doesn't break it down. There's context. We have to be very, very patient with these things because at the end of the day, a person who is already on the edge The moment they encounter a small argument, once they just moved 2 weeks ago, like, Utibere. See, they overreact because this generalization is playing out in their head. You know, as opposed to, no, if you move or you change environment or anything changes in your system, even your body system, it upsets your stomach. Some of you right now, you don't live for Obodo for so long. If you go to Nigeria right now, overnight, you drink that, what they call the cleanest water, Eva water, your stomach will still be upset because your stomach is not used to whatever is going on, even though it's the cleanest water there, right? So the point is that it's more to it than just saying once you enter Obodo, it's just dismantled, it's just scattered. There's more to that story. We need to hear the rest of your specific story. And it's not just, I don't want to simplify it to because you moved. No, you because you moved exposed, right? It could have been somebody, their job took them away from Enugu to Kaduna, and just because you have long distance now, the issues with your marriage are now exposed.
So I want to read this comment because Monilola works with the police, and she's giving us some insight about, you know, how these things usually play out with our community members or our community people calling the police. And she said, it's very true. I work with Olokpa and I see it all the time. I always advise, if it's not DV, abuse, etc., don't involve the police. You'll be surprised how many of them come because they are angry. So they call because they are angry. Because they know that if the police come, and it's mostly women, sadly.
Yes.
It's mostly women. I can say that because my gender, we're accountable on this platform. It's mostly women. So you are angry with your spouse, and you've heard that if I call it, but maybe it is something that hurts you, you are arguing, like you said, Ola, is getting out of hand, and you feel like, you know what, I just need this person out of this house. Then you call the police, but you're angry. But this is the flip side of the story.
So I want us to be careful with that, right?
Yeah, hold on. Let me read the other part of it.
All right, sure.
Onilola said that, but when the police come and he is arrested, the woman will now come and be crying and ask for him to come home.
Yes.
He can't come home. He's on bail for 30 days, and family members are calling and threatening.
Okay. Let's adjust that, okay? Is Monilola police in the West or in Nigeria?
No, not Nigeria. It's here.
It's here, okay.
Here in the UK, yeah.
All right. So I'll give you an example. A lot of time when I speak to these events, I don't, if you want all of my stories, it's in the book, Get My Marriage Back. I tell celebrity stories. That's what I cover for the most part. But if you want my personal stories, they're in the book, right? My wife and I's personal stories. We've had a situation with the police before, okay? Oftentimes, people are very quick to say, hey, you've never seen this, that's why you're speaking. I don't know, I've seen it, and I know how I reacted, and I can speak to it, okay? Not only that, I have a ton of clients that have experienced similar situation, and there are methods to this thing, right? When it comes to, there's two extremes. There's the extreme of a person we just heard on Obodo that you can call the police. So they are calling police every chance they get. There's the other person, the other extreme, that truly just doesn't feel safe.
Of course.
You don't have to touch them first, and we don't encourage that you wait until they touch you first.
No.
Right?
You feel threatened. You feel unsafe.
You feel unsafe, right? So now, who is determining who feels unsafe? It's the person. You don't get to tell them when they feel safe or not.
Yeah, if somebody is acting in a way that is threatening, for instance, they're becoming very aggressive, punching walls. They might not touch you, but in a way that you like.
They are moving, they are punching walls, they are throwing stuff on the floor.
Again, yeah, definitely.
They take this microphone and throw it at the TV on the screen, and you say, well,
smash it. Jumping on everything. And acting crazy. Yeah.
And I'm saying they don't, even for you gentlemen. I say this all the time, so that you don't think you're comparing yourself with the other gender. This is true for everybody. We don't get to judge you when you feel safe or not. If you don't feel safe, it's okay to call the police.
Yeah, men do call police for women as well. They do. They do.
Yeah.
Big Bay is saying something very, very important before we finish the video. It's just a few minutes, not even up to a minute
And
left.
to be, you know, this topic is short too. Anyway, let's continue.
No, hold on now. Big Bay said something here because especially for those of you that live in America where your lopa will carry a gun up, and you know UK our lopa no they get gun, they don't carry gun. So if they come, they're going to come with maybe handcuffs and batting. That's all. They don't have anything else. But in the US, again, think about it. This makes a lot of sense because of all this video that we see. Bingbe said it's crazy too. You cannot be calling the police for everything, especially in the US, where calling the police can make the situation to go from a 0 to 100 quickly.
I agree. The only issue here, Binkwe, shout out to Binkwe. The only issue is that most people don't call for everything. It's that one event that we'll keep talking about. They go viral. Maybe one or two. Now, if there are some exceptions out there, I'm sure there's somebody who is mad enough out there to be calling police every time. We're not talking about that person. I'm talking about a typical situation where somebody does not feel safe. Maybe they've done it a few times. That's what we need to be talking about. If there's a mad person out there that's calling the police all the time, listen to me, okay? Eventually, the police not even going to trust you, okay? You might even get charged for calling the police unnecessarily for things that are not emergency. Yes, you can actually get charged for that, you know. So let's talk about the situation where people will call the police because they don't feel safe. A typical marriage, normal marriage, maybe 1, 2, 3 times, right? And they think it's normal to just call the police. No, you're not helping yourself because at the end of the day, you're inside of a marriage, right? At the end of the day, though, the situation that happened to my wife and I, when the police showed up, we had a few other family members that showed up. Okay? The reason, according to her, why she called is that she didn't feel safe, not just feeling safe, but the kids were crying and everything. And I was trying to get a point across. And she told me, like, enough. We can talk about this another time. I said, no, I've been keeping this on that. We need to have this conversation. So the conversation was too heated. And then the kids were crying. And she was like, I'll call the police. And then she called the police. When she called the police showed up, and we had a few family members that showed up. I'm sharing a personal story with you now so that you can know that even me on the receiving end of that, I'm telling you that ultimately people need to feel safe. But we can have a conversation so that we can know the difference of when it's safe, when it's not safe, but people still get to determine themselves when it feels safe or not. So one of the people that showed up, a family member, a family friend, was trying to tell my wife that you shouldn't call the police for stuff like this. And the police was correcting him that no, it's okay. That we're not just going to come in and just arrest people unless we see marks on people's body or somebody or something doesn't look safe. They don't just come and pick somebody up or pick just the first gender that they have issues with. That's not how it works. The way it works, they actually assess the situation. They listen to what's going on. If nobody is in some kind of danger or anything like that. And then usually their goal is to, like, okay, you guys, to leave without taking anybody.
So de-escalate the situation.
But if when they come, one of them is like, hey, you call the police on me, I'll show you paper. They are looking at your conduct. So you might get taken away because of what they see in that moment, because they can't trust that you're not going to do something crazy, even if you're doing that in front of a police. Right? So there's a lot more that go into it than just say, don't do it. Or do it. It's not that simple. If it was that simple, there won't be police in business. In Nigeria, what would have happened, the stories we hear at least, what would have happened is that they might tell you, auntie, your husband said there's no problem, just go home with your husband. Especially if there's no way for them to extract money from you. Yes, I am generalizing, but I'm telling you that a lot of cases like that, that's what it happens. So the police, they come there to de-escalate issue for the most part. Imagine if they are arresting every situation they call people for. There won't be enough space in jail. Because things happen. That's the reality. It's not just you that it happened to that day. So, people have disagreements.
I need to read a few comments.
Yes, ma'am.
Joe said something. It's a question. I don't know how this is a question, but I'll read it anyway. Do you think calling Olokpa for wrong reason leaves some same lasting imprint in spouse as saying to imported wife, I brought you here? I don't know if I understand that question properly, but what
Let
I
me
think,
let me try it. Do you
okay.
think calling Olokpa for wrong purpose leaves lasting imprint in spouse, leaves the same lasting imprint in spouse as, I guess, the saying to when you say imported spouse, I brought you here. Like they're trying to compare when somebody say I brought you here to when Olokpa.
What is the basis for the comparison for that? I don't see it.
Why do we need to compare that? And also the answer to the first part of the question is that yes, it does leave lasting imprint. You get to decide what type of lasting imprint it leaves. You can either learn from the experience, or you can resent your own life and your wife and your children for the rest of your life because they called the police because you had a disagreement. It's completely up to you. It's completely up to your mindset too, right? So they call the police. You're not going to pretend that somebody just woke up in the morning and start calling the police. That something was going on. What led to somebody calling police? What kind of disagreement did you have before that? Can we also
So
talk about that?
somebody, a lot of Japa wives always say that the people, their husbands or whoever brings them here is always saying, "I brought you here, I brought you here." I understand that it's not a nice thing for
It's
somebody
not
to be
nice.
reminding you.
At the same thing. Thank you.
It's not nice for somebody to remind. It's almost like saying, "I took you out of poverty. If not for me, if not for me, it's not nice." But is it a crime that warrants police being called? No, I don't think so.
No, it's not nice. But in the same token, we're not going to pretend that somebody just woke up and said, I brought you here. What conversations led to them saying they brought you here?
No, some people, Mongo Parks use that line quite a lot.
To do what?
So
We need to
just
know what.
is to put the person in place to remind you that if not for me, you will not even be here. I brought you. It's a reminder.
So, no, I agree with you. So, they are you. What's the English for you, Siregun? It's a controlling statement. Thank you for that, Amber. They're using it to, it's manipulation so that you can do what they want, right? So, listen to me. It's a way for them to maintain a certain level of authority over you because they brought you here, right? I agree. Like you said, Auntie B, it's not a nice thing to say, right? It's not a nice thing to say. But let's get to the core of the issue. The core is that this person is a controlling person, right? So there's ways also to address that. If you have a controlling spouse, we have methods, we have strategies around addressing that ultimately, right? It starts with communication. When you say this, it makes me feel that way. But we know that one-time communication is usually not enough because these behaviors are bad habits, right? But I'm sure it's spreading into other areas of life. These are we need specific stories so that we can help you mitigate that risk. Because I'm sure that controlling behavior will spread into other things that might even be more dangerous than just the statement, I brought you here.
So Beyond Braid says, I have a close family that the wife called police and the guy eventually by himself due to the pressure of the conditions the police gave him.
Yeah, we
That's
need more around that. We need more stories around
that's
that. I'm
really,
sure
really
that's
good.
true. Yeah.
What conditions? What,
Yeah.
what, what was the situation? Can you give us more?
Yeah.
Softy said that we should not put our spouses in a situation where they feel unsafe and we need to call the police for protection. I agree completely.
If
Yeah.
we go back to Jim's comment, right, and to be that statement, if we conclude on that statement by itself, it puts people in a position where they feel like they're in a jail sentence. They can't call for help if they need help. And we also know that in the West, a lot of people don't have family members around because one of the advices is that, oh, why don't you seek elderly persons, or anything like that. We have a situation where a lot of people may have one spouse that have families around, but the other spouse, they imported them. So they don't have a lot of family around, right? So does that mean they should be calling the police? No. What I'm saying is that some people are truly in situations where it's okay. Like if you call the police, you can come back and become friends. Don't listen to that lie that you can't come out and become friends. And I'm not encouraging that people should just call police anyhow. The whole point of this conversation is everyone should understand that if you are in a marriage where the other spouse doesn't feel safe, you shouldn't feel safe. You shouldn't be feeling so safe with a person that doesn't feel safe. It's dangerous.
Yeah. Okay. Let me take this last comment before I go finish this. Somebody is giving us a really good testimony here today. So Beauty Box said something, if I can see. Yeah. She said, my uncle was the one who called the first cops to my home from all the way in England to Canada due to the assault I had experienced. I was so scared. So I think people are having a conversation about how it's not usually even the person that is going through it that calls the police. And she further added that yeah, there are usually exceptions. Her uncle called, friends called, but she didn't nothing happened until she gained strength from Obodoyibo TV to leave. Wow.
Call. I didn't get that.
The
Called
police.
what?
Call the police.
Oh, she was calling the police.
No, the uncle and her friends were calling the police, but she didn't have the strength to leave.
Call the police on her.
On her husband.
Oh, they were, yeah, because sometimes neighbor will call the police if you live in a certain neighborhood and they're hearing noise all the time coming out of your apartment. I've seen people, their child called the police. Their child,
Yeah.
teenage child, called
Yeah,
police.
she's saying that the uncle all the way from England called the police.
Called the
On her
police,
husband
and
in
they
Canada.
should.
Yeah.
And they should. You know, and to be, I don't want to come off as I'm encouraging people just call the police. What I'm saying is there are deeper issues why police are involved typically. You need to be addressing those issues.
There are always issues, Ola, but we cannot go into all that because even if you spend the whole day, of course there are
No,
always,
that's all I have to say about it.
there are always
Get down to the issues that will make learn from the issues that will make a person call the police. We're not going to get into it unless you give it to me now, right? But get down to what makes people typically call the police, right? That's where your power is. Telling people not to call the police is not a real thing because they don't feel safe. And if they don't feel safe, you shouldn't be feeling safe in that relationship. That's the point I'm making. And it's full stop. You know?
Okay, let's see the rest part of the video and what this couple were discussing.
We can work it out.
How? By calling police
We are
all
supposed-
the time lórí mi.
What
Mo fẹ́ destroy career mi.
Báwo
Nǹkan
ṣe
tí ò ṣẹlẹ̀ kò
destroy
ṣẹlẹ̀ o bọ́ síta.
Báwo
Mo fẹ́ràn
ṣe
ìyá mi lọ
destroy
sẹ́wọ̀n.
career? Mi ò rọ́mọ mi sí pàtàkì bá bá mi.
Mo fẹ́ràn ìyá mi lọ sẹ́wọ̀n.
No, that's not what happened. Police will tell you what I said.
Okay, pause Auntie B. Ó ti tọ́ mẹ́rin.
That's it.
Ṣẹ́gbọ́n nǹkan tí, if you listen to what that lady just said, she said, no, that's not what happened. Okay, now it's not for us to believe her or not. The point is that the story did not start at end as you call the police and you want to kill my career.
Yeah, I was talking about career. That I also talked about her attempting to send the mother-in-law to jail. So I think there's a mother-in-law situation going on there too.
Thank
In the
you.
background of that situation. Yeah.
Now let's look at this Moni Lola's condition that she gave. Her conditions include not being able to attend the family home, not seeing their children. A lot of them don't have anywhere to live. They also inform their job. What do you say to that, Auntie B, before I say something to that?
So for the police to put all that restriction, there's got to be evidence. As far as I know, the law works with evidence. If there is not, except you're telling me that the evidence was fabricated.
Unless it's Nigeria. Maybe we can believe that will come out of Nigeria.
But in this part of the world, there needs to be evidence that they will see Coco, okay, going to the family house, you pose a risk to.
You're risky.
Yeah, there's a risk factor there. That's why they're not just going to impose those sanctions on you.
I'll give you an example, Auntie B.
There are serious reasons, and they even inform the job. If they're informing the job,
come on now.
No, you've done. You
Come
are
on now.
very, very abusive person. Yeah.
Yes. So it could be the exception of the story. We do know that the laws are skewed in favor of women unless that woman is on drugs or something crazy is going on. We know that it's skewed to protect children and women. But this idea that people just come into people's houses and just pick somebody up without seeing evidences, it's not true. I'll give you an example, Auntie B. I have a very, very close family friend, right, who was picked up and he had to sleep in jail for 3 days for the weekend because it was a Friday.
That's the worst one. That's the worst one. Weekend arrest.
Auntie B, what was he saying? He was sending text messages, sending threats over text messages, and saying things he would do to people. They can't trust that you're not going to do what you said on that text message. You will go and sleep in jail before they do investigation. and it's only for the weekend. They will even do more investigation to see if you are okay, if you are sick or not. But he was saying things like was threatening people's life over a text message and phone calls.
Yeah.
Of course, you will sleep in jail
That's
for
evidence.
that. Of
That's
course, you cannot go back to the family home for that. Of course, they can't trust that you're not going to do something to that your spouse. You know, so let's if we're saying that the society, the best of societies in terms of this topic, right, that they're just randomly out of not being fair, they are picking people up. You're only telling us to conclude that it's just dangerous out here and there's no solution. That's what you're telling us to do, and that's not true.
Monilola will need to call into this show. I don't
Tell her
think-
to call in
I
now.
can't remember the last time Monilola called in, if she's ever called in. But Monilola is one of my earliest subscribers, you know. So I value her opinion a lot, as I do with, you know, my subscribers. But she's saying something here of which I actually know. They say hair has no fury like a woman's scorn. Ola, obìnrin. You know how we are weaker physically. When it comes to ete, or what do you call it?
Ètè obìnrin.
Hey, Jesus.
Obìnrin.
We can be very.
Ẹ ṣọ́ra fún obìnrin o. Ọlọ́run máa ràn yín lọ́wọ́.
Some of our gender can be so.
Right.
So what Monilola is saying that there's not.
There's not always evidence.
There was a lady who hit herself, and she came with black eye. He tricked the lady and recorded her. This particular man was cheating and she was angry. So basically, he was cheating, she was hurt. So she came with evidence that would convince the police that he was abusive. Although that's emotional abuse, but it wasn't physical.
Yeah.
You see what Monilola is saying? So she created the evidence.
Wait, she created the evidence. Wait, there was a lady who hit herself and came with black eye.
Yes.
He tricked the lady. Who is
so
he?
He recorded her. The husband is he?
Recorded. Okay, so the husband tricked her to find evidence, his own evidence.
He recorded her when she was doing it.
When she was doing it.
Yes.
When she was hitting herself, black eye,
Yes. Yes.
And then the man was cheating and she was angry.
Yes. So she did that because to create evidence for him to get arrested or whatever.
Right. Right.
So I mean, we're not going to rule that out. Some people manufacture.
No. There's no ruling it out. We don't rule anything out here. Yeah, but what do you say to that, Auntie B?
So they say hurt people, but I don't think it's right. Okay.
That's it.
That's not right. No.
That's it.
Women,
That's all we can say about that.
No.
We're not going to say it doesn't exist, but that's not right. That
So you
person
are
is
hurt
crazy.
You are hurt because it's cheap, which is okay. I acknowledge your pain, but you cannot create and manufacture evidence against somebody for what they didn't do to suit your own pain. That's wrong.
And to be, I have something better. A person who will give themselves black eye is a crazy person.
No, lunatic.
That's not what we are talking about today.
Like these things. You think about it like your reaction as a woman is always you thinking about it that okay, protection of women, the weaker sexes.
So you give yourself black eye.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that as women, the rationale, we need to also think about it in a way that we have sons as well.
Right. Of course. Yes.
So you cannot be encouraging people to be giving themselves black eye and be manufacturing.
No.
Because potentially it could ruin his life when he gets a criminal record. Now he cannot get a good job. His life is threatened. If he's cheating, you cannot take it. Then if you want to leave or whatever you want to do. Don't go and formulate evidence. No. Until I will never support that.
I will never support it too. Sometimes the angle I come from I may dismiss certain things. I may come off, I'm not dismissing, but I might come off as I'm dismissing it. These things that Auntie Monilola just spelled out do exist. That's a crazy person. That's a crazy person's case. Okay? That's a mad person. I'm almost justifying it by sitting there and telling them that they are wrong. Of course they are wrong. But I'm talking about you feel the need to call the police and you're hearing a lot of these cases and you're like, I will not be the person to call the police.
But when you're in pain, you don't know what you're going to do. right?
You don't know if you black out and call before you call the police. Would you prefer that?
That's why we need to. That's why we need to have this conversation. So, I've seen a video earlier on my journey on YouTube where this woman, Ola, I kid you not, this woman was hitting herself on the ground.
Yeah.
She was on the phone talking to the police. She was throwing herself on the ground, and I don't know what the man did. And I'm not trying to undermine anybody's pain.
Yeah.
She must have been hurt. But she knows that to get the police to come, she needs to escalate it in a way that gets physical, because
That's terrible.
Emotional abuse, the evidence takes time. It takes time. There's no evidence sometimes.
Or people are gone before you find it. You know one thing that people do in Nigeria, to be. Let me even give you another case. People will lock their husband like this. So the guy, in efforts to escape, this is a not normal thing in Nigeria. A lot of people. And then the guy is trying to get away. He's trying to restrain you. So now there's mark on your neck because he's trying to restrain you, and because that's the mark that the police sees, he goes away to jail. That's more of a realistic situation that might be close to typical, right? It wasn't intentional. The guy didn't mean to harm you, but you are the one that they see mark on because when he was trying to get away or something, or he was trying to run away, where he was trying to close the door, you were trying to say you can't leave today, and then there's your hand, your finger got caught in the middle of the door, so there's blood on the floor now. But he's the one that will get taken away or restrained because you are angry, so you go file a restraining order against him, and you don't tell the full story.
So, just so people know, I know we say women are the weaker sexes. However, if you are with somebody, a woman that is violent and quite physically aggressive, as a man, you have the right to call the police on her.
Please, gentlemen, it's okay to call the police.
Yeah, because some women are quite physically abusive as well.
Yes. It's okay. We have a situation that the numbers are skewed. Shout out to Monilola. That is mostly women that call, because men also talk themselves into, how can it be as a man? I can't be calling. No, call the police. It's for your own safety. It's for everybody's safety, even including our own safety. It's okay if people are just so angry and they're all over the place, and call the police to come. The first attempt is to de-escalate. Okay, and if she has to sleep in jail, I said that on my show all the time. If she has to sleep in jail for 3 days too, that's fine. No, people do. Most of the time, people don't die there. Imagine if everybody's dying there. They don't die. You just learn. They might be scared of cluster forever though, but maybe they should be, because they should learn how to keep their hands to themselves. It doesn't matter if you're man or woman. You can use your words, right? And if you're using your words, the other person doesn't feel safe, or they feel like it's escalating and they decide to leave, let them be. Let it be for now. It's temporary. It's not a permanent thing, So I'm actually here to not discourage or encourage, right? Is to understand that there's so many nuances that goes into, and it's not as simple as people just japa and they are calling police. It's not that simple.
No, but there's a lot of Japa people. One thing I've noticed about Japa people, especially people who just came abroad, they tend to consume a lot of information.
They're hyper. Yeah, they assimilate into the white world.
Yes.
Oh yeah, everything is like, and we are humans here.
When you live in Nigeria or anywhere in Africa, you're already hearing, you can just call the police. And maybe there are things that have been going on in your marriage that you're like, you're already planning, and think about you. And it doesn't know that place you are going to. Women.
You're going to hurt yourself. If that's the mindset you're bringing here, you will hurt yourself.
Let me tell you something. Women can bear grudges for years. You will live together with a woman.
To know.
You had 10 years ago, she has not forgotten.
Fact. That's a fact. Women don't forget anything. We say that all the time. Oh, baby, they don't forget anything.
What I find is that a lot of these Japa people, if you in that place where you have some pain, hurts, maybe you've not been treated well, you've been cheated on, you've been lied to, you've had in-laws problem, and whatever. then you are going to be feeding into that information that people will be telling you that call the police on him. You are in the abroad now.
Yeah, it's not that simple
Telling
too.
you
Yeah,
to
don't do that.
people encourage people. I'm telling you.
Yeah, they do. They do. They do. Auntie B, are you telling me? They do now. They do. Call the police on him. You know, back in the days, they call you Egbe Kilo Koshe. All you have to do is turn up your phone these days. You will find more than enough groups on the internet that will encourage you to hurt yourself. Okay. Kemi Dada, right?
She said, I'll read it, please.
Please, Auntie B, I have a comment. I recently called the police for my husband who has physically abused me on about 5 occasions during his moment of anger. Yeah.
So what's the question? Yeah, you did the right thing. Why did you wait for 5 times? If you did it once, call the police. That's what we said.
After the second time, you should probably move. Separation is encouraged. Separation is encouraged. Move. You don't know how to move, then reach out to Auntie B. We have to be able to connect you with resources.
Yeah.
But 5 times is already too much.
Why are you waiting? It could have by you. Why are you waiting for 5? There is zero tolerance. So 5 times is too much. Maybe you've been collecting before in Nigeria.
Imagine me. I'm saying if a woman do this to you, gentlemen, call the police. Imagine you as a woman, and you're already collecting 5 times. What do you think I'm going to tell you?
No, don't wait till 5 times.
Don't wait till 6 times now. Thank you.
Once is enough for you to get his ass to be locked up. Then you will think again. Even if he comes back and you want to continue in the marriage for whatever reasons. Then before he does it again, he will think about the consequences.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yvette said, "True. Do not forget. Please do not make false reports. Yeah, don't make false reports, but do not fail to make actual reports.
Yes, and don't wait until you are bitter, because if you are bitter, you will make false reports. Let me say this clearly: if you are operating from a bitter place, from a place of pain, years of pain, and you stay in that situation, you will make false reports, and you don't have to admit it's false reports. The other person is going to have a different experience. They don't remember what you remember. You're going to be actively trying to hurt that person with the system. So there's underlying, I want us to pay a little bit extra close attention to the underlying reasons why people participate in bad behavior.
Okay, all right. Ola, I don't know.
You have to escape.
My time is almost up. So what we're gonna do? Because I mean, obviously this is very engaging. This is very interesting, and I'm sure you still have a lot to say. We've not even taken any calls. What do I need to do? Do you want me to share the link in the comment section, or
so Atibi, if you go to, let me see if I think I might be able to share it. If you go to my page right now, there's a scheduled show. So we're gonna go over there, and continue from there. And then if people have questions, specific questions, I would like to address them, and then I'll share some other stuff, and then we'll call it a day. But I know you have to run so that we can release you to run.
Unfortunately, guys, I have to run. I wish I can stay longer because this is really, really interesting. Am I going to need to end this, or you just carry on?
Let me. No, you will end it once we get off. You just end it, so that we don't leave the live stream hanging.
Okay, so
let me see.
Continue from your end?
No, I will be opening another stream. I'm dropping the link right now.
Okay.
I think I just dropped it. I'm not sure if it's showing. If it's showing, let us know before we.
Yeah. So guys, unfortunately, I have to run. I have a meeting. But Man of Prestige is going to continue the conversation.
We'll continue in 5 minutes. We'll continue in 5 minutes. So just come over there, and then we'll continue the story.
Walk over to Man of Prestige, and I'm sure a lot of you will have something to say. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't take calls tonight because I gotta go.
And if it gets too heated, we're gonna need you on Tuesday or something, and to be.
On Tuesday.
Yeah, if it gets too heated, this Japa story. No, any other day that you're available, of course.
Yeah, I can't do Tuesday. Beyond Grace says my baby is 10 days. And my husband got angry and broke glass in the what?
My baby is 10 days, and my husband got angry and broke glass in the bathtub. I was scared for my life. This is a good example of what I'm saying. He's probably just trying to get a point across. Maybe everybody is angry or stuff.
10 days old.
Yeah, so he in turn called the cops on me without no reason. No, he probably felt the need to call the cop on himself because people are getting angry. That's why I said the cops is not your enemy here. It's okay if you feel like you're going. We're talking about anger here. We're talking about anger.
You're getting angry with a nursing mother that gave birth 10 days ago.
You see,
10 days
Auntie B
ago.
will now say, why do I want to go to the backstories?
10
That's
days
a good
ago.
question, Auntie B. Who's going to answer the question now?
A woman that gave birth 10 days ago, you are angry and breaking things. Oh my God.
It's a question, Auntie B. It's a question. Auntie B.
Sometimes I wish men, you people will carry pregnancy and give birth so that you will know. Maybe you have more empathy and more respect for women and their body and our bodies and what we go through.
So it's not, somebody said it's ignorance. I agree with ignorance, right? Ignorance can be extended to so many things, or it can be as extreme as madness or somewhere in between, right? But it's a conversation we need to be having. That's the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, please jump over to Man of Prestige now. They say you should drop the link, Ola.
Do you see the link? But I don't know if it's showing. If it's not,
It is. I can see it.
so you copy it, Auntie B, and post it because it might not show on the public.
Okay. All right. Let me.
Yeah.
Okay. This is it.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. I drop it into the link. Okay, we're live right now.
Should you call police or should you not call police? Ola, go live, please. Don't wait for 5 minutes because people will.
No, I'm going live right away. It's 3:10. It's already, we already used up the 5 minutes. We're starting now.
Thanks, everybody.
I just dropped it now, so everybody should be able to see it now.
I shared the link as well. So just click on the link and go to Man of Prestige and finish the conversation on my behalf. I love you guys and I'll see you soon.
Take care, Auntie B. We'll talk soon. Bye.
All right.
Yep.
Bye.